Today's drama starts with Zhou, the CEO, the one and only boss that everyone talks about. He always shows up in Lin Ning's dreams non-stop. Lin Ning works in a liquor factory and all she's ever wanted in life is to make money for herself and her father. Love and relationships, never on her list. That was the case, until Zhou showed up as her new boss. And suddenly, she became obsessed with him. He turned into her biggest crush. Now she keeps running into him on her way in and out, and whenever he's not around, she's imagining him, sometimes fully dressed, sometimes not so much. One day, the entire company went on a short trip to a hotel to relax. However, Lin Ning's manager pulled her aside and sent her back to the office to quickly bring the bottles she had prepared, since Zhou wanted to taste them. She went back, collected them, and returned to the hotel, but what followed turned out to be her most embarrassing encounters with her crush. As soon as she placed the bottles at the reception and went to the bathroom, Zhou came across them. Without knowing who they belonged to or who had made them, he started tasting the drinks one after another. He continued sampling each bottle, but found them so unpleasant that he kept spitting them out and tossing them into the trash, wondering in frustration what kind of strange mixture they were. When she returned and saw the scene, she was furious. The situation quickly escalated into a heated confrontation, but before she could argue any further, her manager appeared. He addressed Zhou with utmost respect, and in that moment, Lin Ning nearly fainted upon realizing that this man was actually their overall director. Later that night, she tried to relax in the hotel's jacuzzi, muttering her frustrations under her breath, unaware that Zhou was sitting nearby, listening to everything. When he suddenly made his presence known, she grew so flustered that she lost her balance, slipped, and fell into the water, hitting her face and nearly fainting. Despite his harsh manner, he acted like a gentleman and carried her out. She woke up the next morning only to find herself in his room, torn between feeling humiliated and bewildered. That same day, Zhou gathered all the employees and made it clear that they had 1 month to present him with a proper product that could actually be consumed, or else they would need to look for other jobs. Later that evening, he decided to give himself another chance to taste the drinks Lin Ning had made. He had already sensed that among them was someone exceptionally talented at their craft, but he still had no idea who she was or what she looked like. In her hotel room, Lin Ning spent restless nights, half asleep and half awake, dreaming of Zhou and imagining him entering her room or standing right in front of her. One evening, she stepped out for some fresh air, only to actually find him there, thinking at first that her mind was playing tricks on her. She tried to retreat, but in that moment, he caught her to stop a heavy box from falling and hitting her head. Instead, he ended up injuring his own back. Feeling guilty, she tried to tend to his pain, offering whatever she could, and afterward he drove her home in his car. On the way, he admitted that her drinks were not as bad as he had initially thought. Back at work, Lin Ning asked her colleagues to leave her alone so she could focus, but Zhou began watching her closely, convinced that if she stopped being so distracted, she had the potential to create something remarkable. Still, her imagination betrayed her. She kept daydreaming about Zhou, often in ways that grew far too suggestive, and each sip she took from the drink she was testing only seemed to fuel her thoughts. The next night, while returning to the office to continue her work, she ran into Zhou in the elevator. Suddenly, it felt as though there were two of him, one respectable and one entirely in her imagination, far less proper than the real man. When the elevator stalled, she found herself trapped alone with him, or with both versions of him, depending on how her mind wandered. In reality, he had come to the office because she had developed a new drink, and to his surprise, he actually liked it. Lin Ning kept insisting that Zhou should talk less and leave, because she feared her own reckless imagination might get the better of her. She focused on finishing the drink and planned to hand it over quickly. When she noticed that he seemed suspicious of her strange behavior, she abruptly declared that she was not interested in marriage or relationships, hoping to clear any misunderstanding before it grew. The next day at the company, Zhou confided in his friend. He explained that there was a girl whose behavior made it seem like she liked him, yet she had suddenly announced she wanted nothing to do with marriage or commitment. He couldn't make sense of it. His friend teased him, suggesting that perhaps Zhou was not the only one being admired in this situation. At the same time, Lin Ning was with Gu Yu, who asked whether her illusions about Zhou had faded or if her mind was still restless. Lin Ning admitted that the thoughts were still there, stronger than ever. Gu Yu told her that the only way to rid herself of these fantasies was to tempt him, to cross the line with him, and then perhaps the delusion would finally disappear. Such reckless advice only added fuel to her confusion. What made matters worse was when Zhou unexpectedly entered her office. He told her to do whatever frightened her instead of overthinking, and to be honest with herself. To him, it was a matter of openness about relationships, but Lin Ning's interpretation was entirely different. That night, determined to put an end to her restless mind, she decided to take a leap, reasoning that if she kissed him once, nothing terrible would happen. One night, when Lin Ning found Zhou asleep, she thought it was the perfect chance that had fallen into her lap. Yet although his eyes were closed, he wasn't truly asleep, he simply allowed her to act if she wished. Lin Ning, however, chose not to take advantage of the situation. She decided she would not cross that line, left the office, and walked away. Soon after, she discovered that her own manager was discreetly applying for another job, preferring to leave with dignity before Zhou dismissed him for constantly being late. Foolishly, Lin Ning decided to protect him. During the meeting the next day, she announced that the drink she had created had actually been developed in collaboration with her manager. Zhou, of course, saw through the entire act. As punishment, he dismissed Lin Ning on the spot but kept the manager. As she packed her things and prepared to leave the company, Zhou appeared outside, waiting in his car to drive her home. During the ride, she led him to an amusement park, where he saw her manager happily playing with his young daughter. Lin Ning explained that although he might have been careless and unreliable at work, he had a good heart and cared deeply for his family. The sight triggered Zhou's own memories of his childhood in the orphanage, when no one had been there to care for him. Moved by the moment, he told Lin Ning she could return to the company, though with certain conditions. Her department's rewards would now be shared with her manager, and he would be transferred to a different role within the company. Zhou added only one request of his own, that from then on, whenever she saw him, she should not avoid him. Afterward, Lin Ning suggested that Zhou should eat something, joking that he must be starving after all the running around. She took him to a small food place she often visited, where the owner immediately recognized him. But the truth was that the woman already knew him from the past. Zhou had once been a regular customer there, though it had been many years since his last visit. The woman greeted him warmly, surprised to see him again, and Zhou explained that he had been away for several years but was now back for good. When they finished their meal and returned, the following day at work Zhou overheard Lin Ning speaking with Guyu. Guyu asked whether she would abandon her principles if Zhou continued to pursue her. Lin Ning firmly insisted that even if he were to kneel in front of her, she would never enter a relationship with anyone. Zhou, hearing this, grew furious. He decided to confront her after work, but when the time came, he saw her climbing onto the back of a motorcycle behind a man whose face he could not make out beneath his helmet. The sight filled him with anger, and he began taking it out on Lin Ning during work, being harsher with her tasks than ever. Lin Ning thought to herself that perhaps men were not so different from women. Once a month their moods shifted as if ruled by some strange tide of emotions. Meanwhile, at an upscale restaurant, Zhou arranged a meeting with an artist named Ice, planning to hire him to promote their new drink. Before Lin Ning could join him at the event, Zhou warned her not to wear anything inappropriate because it was an important meeting. In truth, he simply did not want her there. But Lin Ning refused to stay behind and followed him anyway, determined to watch what he was doing. In the process, she accidentally collided with Ice, the artist Zhou had gone to meet. Ice mistook her for someone trying to photograph him, and a commotion quickly broke out. Reporters and fans surrounded them, and in an attempt to control the situation, Ice claimed that Lin Ning was his girlfriend. The sudden crowd triggered one of Lin Ning's deepest fears. She panicked and relived a memory from her childhood, when people had surrounded her in preschool after discovering her father was a drunk who often passed out in public. Overwhelmed, she ran outside to breathe, but Ice followed her. He tried to persuade her to play the role of his fake girlfriend, offering her whatever money she wanted in return. Just as Zhou was about to intervene, Lin Ning interrupted and announced that she would agree to pretend to be Ice's girlfriend if he accepted the advertisement deal. Later that night, back at the office, Lin Ning and Guyu drank together until Lin Ning was left alone. When Guyu left, Lin Ning began talking openly about her illusions, her confusion, and everything troubling her. She had no idea that Zhou was standing outside the room, hearing every word she said. The truth of her inner turmoil was revealed out loud, and Zhou, shaken by what he had heard, soon took her home. Zhou's curiosity kept driving him to circle around Lin Ning's life, trying to understand how she lived and what she did. When she woke up one morning, she found him standing there. At first, she told herself it was just another illusion, as always. She tried to shake off the thought by splashing water on her face, but then her neighbor knocked on the door and saw Zhou as well. That was the moment she realized he was real. Flustered, she shut the door on her neighbor and turned to Zhou in shock, asking herself what he was really doing there. She paced around, trying to convince herself that she was not imagining things again. But Zhou, noticing her denial, pointed out that she no longer saw his other version. That revelation terrified her. How could he know about the hallucinations she used to have? He told her to stop pretending, reminding her that illusions had nothing to do with what was right in front of her. Zhou pressed her to be honest about what she wanted, whether she truly desired to stay alone, or if she simply feared connection. He had seen the papers she taped on her walls, filled with plans and timelines for her future. Lin Ning insisted that she had organized her life well on her own. But when she handed him his bag so he could leave, some notes fell to the floor, pages she had written about her panic attacks and how people should handle them. Reading them, Zhou felt a sudden wave of sympathy. He told her she wasn't alone, and for the first time, Lin Ning was deeply moved by his concern. In that instant, all her plans for a solitary life evaporated. Overcome with emotion, she kissed him and let herself drift into the fantasy she had resisted for so long. Yet just as things began to go further, Zhou gently stopped her, telling her that such a moment should be saved for their honeymoon. At work, Lin Ning tried to avoid Zhou, still embarrassed by what had happened between them. But Zhou showed up at her home, determined to understand what was wrong. He confessed that he wanted to commit to her, but Lin Ning insisted that they should forget everything, as though nothing had ever happened. Hurt by her words, Zhou felt as though she was toying with his feelings, and he walked away without knowing the truth. What she never told him was that marriage itself was a source of trauma for her. She remembered the time she had nearly been engaged to a man in secret, only for his mother to discover the arrangement and ruin it. His mother had insulted her, saying that she only wanted a family who could take care of her drunken father and dysfunctional relatives. That memory left scars Lin Ning still carried, though Zhou knew nothing of it. Later, Zhou visited his own parents, confiding in them that the woman he cared about had run away the moment he mentioned marriage. Both parents scolded him, telling him he had rushed too soon. Marriage was not something to throw at her without warning, and of course she had been frightened. Back at the company, Zhou, still in a foul mood, was forced to attend another meeting with Ice, the artist who seemed even more irritable than he was that day. When the meeting ended, Lin Ning and Guyu went to have a meal at the company cafe. Suddenly, something was thrown down on them from above, phones and eggs with tomatoes. Lin Ning felt it was an act of rudeness, wondering how the sky had suddenly started throwing phones. Curious, they went to check what was happening and found Ice sitting on the side, crying. It seemed he was the one throwing those things. Guyu suggested that Lin Ning should go talk to him, since they were close, but Lin Ning dismissed the idea, leaving Guyu to approach him instead. Carefully, Guyu stepped closer, and Ice asked for a tissue to wipe his nose. Soon after, his phone rang. He was dating an actress who treated him like a dog. He was still upset with her, but the moment she called, he rushed to answer. Guyu quickly grabbed the phone from him, urging him to keep his dignity and not respond so easily. Yet, he couldn't endure it even for a minute, and he eventually picked up, which led Guyu to leave him, disappointed by his foolishness. Later, when Lin Ning returned to her office to finish her tasks, Zhou followed her. He carried 2 invitations to a party, but after the disaster of the previous day, he hesitated, unsure of how to ask her to come with him. Just as Zhou was about to open the door, he found Ice standing there, asking for Lin Ning. They needed to arrange something regarding the act she was supposed to perform as his girlfriend, which required photos and videos together. Zhou grew intensely jealous and tried to stop the arrangement, but Lin Ning reminded him that she had already promised Ice in exchange for working with him, and she couldn't back down like a child who went back on her word. That night, Zhou spent hours watching the live streams of Lin Ning with Ice. The more he watched, the more restless he became, until he finally decided to go see her. She looked exhausted from constantly running after that foolish celebrity. Zhou asked her to come with him immediately, assuring her he would find a solution to the situation later. But because she knew he was a straightforward man with marriage in mind, and she was traumatized by the very thought of marriage, she pushed him away, telling him to leave her alone as she was comfortable this way. He even went down on his knees, trying to get her to open up, but she refused. As he walked away, Zhou overheard Ice speaking with his actress girlfriend, confessing that Lin Ning was just part of an act, nothing more than someone who would benefit from his fame like the rest. That was the breaking point for Zhou, who could no longer hold back his anger and lashed out at Ice, unable to tolerate him any longer. The fight escalated quickly, and Lin Ning rushed toward the noise. Unable to break them apart, she grabbed a fire extinguisher and sprayed it in their faces, then dragged Zhou out of the chaos. She was desperate to get him out of the disaster, while Zhou, despite everything, found himself imagining her in a wedding dress, running toward him at the altar. Later that night, Guyu went to Ice to cancel the company's advertising contract with him. He looked dejected and invited her to at least share a meal since Lin Ning hadn't come. She initially refused, irritated after everything, hitting her boss, humiliating Guyu, but when the waiter arrived with a table full of extravagant dishes, she decided to stay for a bite. While she ate, Ice began pouring out his heart. His actress girlfriend had left him for a famous director, and he was devastated. Guyu brushed off his misery, reminding him that the actress had always treated him poorly and that it was no surprise she had moved on. She reassured him that the actress would likely come back, but Ice was too restless. He stood up, desperate, asking her if she knew a way to win the woman back, offering to do anything she asked in return. At the company, once the issue with the drink was finally resolved and everything was ready for the launch, preparations began for a celebration where the product would be revealed. The team faced a new challenge: how to market the drink to young people. Lin Ning suggested an interactive idea, letting attendees prepare their own versions of the beverage. The base would be the special liquor they had created, and people could add their own flavors. The concept impressed everyone, and it was approved. On the day of the event, a troublesome man arrived accompanied by a flashy young woman. He began mocking Lin Ning, accusing her of seducing Ice to get him to promote the product. Zhou, who was watching from a distance, felt uneasy. When he asked her manager about the stranger, he was told that the man was often seen around the company and happened to be the ex-boyfriend of Guyu. Zhou remained unconvinced and decided to investigate further. As he listened, he overheard the man telling Lin Ning cruelly that Ice must have been playing with her and that she would remain a spinster. The words struck her deeply. At that moment, Zhou stepped forward and pretended to be her boyfriend, presenting her with a necklace as if it were a gift. The crowd immediately began whispering, assuming that her relationship with the manager was the reason their drink had been featured at the event. The gossip and the stares overwhelmed her, triggering another panic attack, and she fled the room. Zhou felt as if he had lost everything. He ran after Lin Ning, desperate to make her understand, confessing his love and insisting that they could start with a simple relationship without rushing into marriage. He promised he would wait for her and never let go, but she remained firm. She wanted neither love nor commitment, determined to live as she was. The next morning, Lin Ning went to her father's house. The place was a mess, filled with scattered junk, almost like a barn. Her father lay on the couch in such a drunken state that she first thought he was dead, only to realize he was still alive. She carried him to his bed and began cleaning the house. This was her life, she thought, a wreck that she couldn't bring anyone else into. Later, Jo-hyung called to invite her to dinner. He told her he would no longer pressure her into something she didn't want, promising not to bring up the subject again, and that at worst, they could remain colleagues and nothing more. The following day at work, Lin Ning confided in Guyu about all the complicated situations she was going through. Guyu advised her to at least give the relationship a try. If she liked it, she could continue, and if not, she could walk away. After all, no one could force her into anything. Jo-hyung began to change his approach. Instead of rushing or pushing her, he tried to soften her heart in quiet ways. Sometimes he left her a piece of candy with a small note, and she would reply with a playful message, as if they were teenagers again. One day, he brought a female colleague to the company, introducing her to Lin Ning casually. This colleague, aware of the rumors that Jo-hyung and Lin Ning were dating, insisted that they were only friends and co-workers. Then, with a mischievous smile, she grabbed Jo-hyung's hand and teased that this meant she was free to marry him. Her words were meant to provoke, and Lin Ning, unable to stand the sight, walked away in silent jealousy. Jo-hyung chased after her, trying to explain that the woman had been only a school friend and was simply provoking her. But Lin Ning brushed it off, saying it was none of her concern if he had admirers, since he was free to do as he wished. Though she spoke indifferently, Jo-hyung could see she had deliberately left him frustrated. She wasn't truly angry, she only wanted to test him, to stir him. That same evening, Guyu was working late. She received a call from Ice. He told her he had sent 1,000 roses and a diamond collar for his ex-girlfriend's dog, as a gesture for her engagement. Yet the actress dismissed him completely, calling him a psycho and blocking his number. Guyu, overwhelmed by Ice's drama, cut the call short and reminded him she had her own debts to pay off. She had no time for the madness of the rich. Yet, the very next day, he appeared before her at the company, begging her for help. She brushed him off, half amused and half annoyed, knowing he had discovered her weakness. Food was the easiest way to soften her resistance. The following day was a holiday, and Lin Ning decided to go hiking with Guyu. To their surprise, they ran into Jo-hyung on the trail. Not wanting to play the third wheel, Guyu quietly excused herself, leaving the two of them alone. As they climbed higher, Lin Ning teased him about his wealth. She couldn't understand why a man with so much money would seek out the burden of marriage, when he could easily buy an island, fill it with animals, and spend his days sipping tea in solitude. Jo-hyung didn't respond at first, but when pressed, he admitted he longed to be responsible for someone. Lin Ning thought to herself how absurd such luxury sounded, to desire responsibility when one could have freedom. They continued their hike, taking photos along the way and enjoying the mountain air, while Guyu wandered off by herself, giving them space to share the moment. Before night fell and as they descended the mountain, Jo-hyung once again confessed his feelings, asking her to let him share the life she dreamed of, the quiet farm with animals where they could live simply together. Lin Ning resisted, insisting that she would not abandon her principles. To her, marriage was unnecessary. Why not live together without the weight of commitments? The next day at the company, she tried every possible way to tempt him, hoping he would bend to her perspective, but he never gave her the chance. Later, she invited him to dinner, and although he teased her about her obvious intentions, she insisted it was nothing but a casual meal. Instead of taking him to a restaurant, she brought him to his own home, deciding they would cook together. The atmosphere quickly became charged, the perfect setting for her attempts at seduction. Just as the moment seemed to intensify, the doorbell rang. His parents had arrived unexpectedly. Lin Ning panicked and rushed upstairs, desperate not to be seen. She disguised herself as a maid, covering her face with a mask, and slipped out of the house as quickly as possible before anyone could recognize her. Before slipping out of the house, Lin Ning's mind caught on a strange thought. Something about Jo-hyung's parents felt familiar, as though she had seen them somewhere before. Meanwhile, at Ice's side, things took an unexpected turn. During a live stream meant to showcase other products, Ice abruptly began promoting Jo-hyung's company's alcohol instead. He praised its qualities without any warning or introduction, stunning his team. In the middle of the night, Jo-hyung received a call about the sudden spike in demand. Orders were pouring in at a staggering rate, and he immediately organized an emergency meeting at the company. Production had to be scaled up, and the quality maintained, as the company slipped into a full state of crisis management. At the same time, Guyu went to Ice to confront him, demanding to know why he had done this despite their contract being voided and his not receiving payment for his praise. Ice confessed that he expected nothing in return except her help in winning back his ex-girlfriend. She refused, explaining that she worked for a company, not as a relationship counselor, and had no way to reunite him with his former lover. Ice, however, pressed on, saying he didn't want a scandal and that she was the only one who knew everything and the only one he could confide in. She told him that he was childish and a simp who only thought about himself, and that such behavior would never win his ex back. She insisted he needed to change his character a little, maybe a lot, and then left him. Meanwhile, at the company where Guyu's ex worked, jealousy was eating him alive. When he saw how successful Lin Ning's drink had become, while he himself was unable to market anything for his own company, his situation only worsened when his boss suddenly fired him. Out of spite, he reached out to a group of online streamers and arranged for them to spread rumors everywhere that Ice had promoted Lin Ning's product because he had been romantically involved with her. Guyu rushed over to show her the news that was spreading like wildfire. Lin Ning stayed completely calm. She said she didn't care about people's opinion, she only wanted to focus on her work and on those who loved her and whom she loved back. But Guyu wasn't satisfied with that and set up a live stream with Ice to clear the rumors. During the broadcast, Ice stated that he had only done it to cover up for his real girlfriend and apologized to everyone for the fake news. Immediately afterward, Zhou appeared in the same live stream. He told the audience that Lin Ning hadn't manipulated him at all into promoting her drink. Instead, he admitted openly that they were in a relationship, that he loved her, and that he wanted to marry her, ending the matter once and for all. When Lin Ning went back home, her phone was overwhelmed with messages and calls from everywhere after Zhou's public love confession in front of millions. Soon, Zhou showed up at her door. She told him that her phone hadn't stopped ringing because of him, and that if he ever planned something like that again, he should at least give her a sign, a wink, or some kind of hint, instead of suddenly putting her under such pressure. But Zhou didn't say much in response. Instead, he began kissing her, trying to make up for it, and it was clear he wanted to take things further. He wasn't planning to wait until marriage anymore like he had once claimed. Just as the moment was intensifying, her phone rang again. This time, it was an emergency call. Zhou offered to go with her, but she told him that she could handle it on her own and promised that next time, she would let him come along. At the company, Guyu was still with Ice because of work. He told her that he wasn't a simp anymore, that he had broken things off with his girlfriend, and then kept talking with her until, exhausted from not having slept since the day before, he suddenly dozed off. She carefully laid him down on the wooden bench in the company's garden, covered him with her jacket, and couldn't help but look at him with growing affection. Meanwhile, Lin Ning's emergency turned out to be her father, who had been beaten severely. She rushed to bring him back from the hospital, and it became clear that the whole incident had happened because of alcohol. The next day at the company, Zhou decided to take all the employees on a trip to a hotel for some relaxation. Ice was also invited since he had been the reason behind the project's huge success. During the trip, Ice kept following Guyu around. She, however, wasn't giving him much attention and reminded him that since he had already broken up with his girlfriend, her social worker duty with him was over. He had nothing left to bother her about. But Ice wouldn't stop. He kept asking her why she hated him so much and whether she couldn't stand him at all. She, already tipsy and exhausted, could barely stay steady, and her head ended up resting on his chest. At that moment, he suddenly hugged her tightly and confessed that he loved her. Meanwhile, outside, Lin Ning and Zhou were walking together, sharing what was starting to feel like a tender, romantic moment. Just then, Lin Ning's phone rang with bad news. Her father had caused another accident at home. Because of his smoking, he had almost set the house on fire. She had no choice but to go immediately, and this time Zhou insisted on going with her. At the same time, Guyu and Ice kept drinking until they both got completely drunk. By the end of the night, they ended up sleeping together. When Guyu woke up the next morning and found Ice beside her, she was shocked and confused about what had actually happened. At her father's house, Lin Ning was left unsettled and half-composed after the chaos caused by her father's state and the landlady's shouting. She eventually managed to put him to bed, but the weight of embarrassment pressed down on her from head to toe. Zhou had seen too much, and the memory of how she had once been humiliated because of her father returned with force. She refused to let history repeat itself, so she decided that pushing Zhou away was the only option. From then on, their relationship shrank to the bare minimum, just a polite greeting at work each morning, nothing more. She was not the only one retreating into silence. Guyu, after returning from the hotel, kept her distance from Ice even as he hovered around her at every turn. She cut him off decisively, forcing herself to erase what had happened between them and treating it as though it had never existed. Later, on Lin Ning's birthday, she and Guyu celebrated quietly at home. Both single and weighed down by their own troubles, they sat drinking together until Lin Ning fell asleep. Left alone, Guyu answered a knock at the door and found Zhou standing there. Choosing not to interfere, she let him in to sit beside Lin Ning, silently hoping they might finally find a way to reconcile. When Zhou entered, his hand and face were marked with injuries, yet he chose to remain quietly at Lin Ning's side until morning. Upon waking, she discovered that he had prepared a surprise for her birthday. He led her to a rehabilitation center for alcohol addiction, a place that looked more like an elegant retreat than a clinic. There, she learned that her father had been admitted to receive treatment, a decision he himself had agreed to. Zhou's wounds revealed the struggle it had taken to bring him there. Inside her father's room, Lin Ning broke down in tears, overcome by the rare sight of him sober and lucid. She realized she had almost forgotten the way his eyes looked when fully open and aware. For the first time in a long while, hope flickered between them. Later, she and Zhou sat together on the rooftop of the center, drinking something warm as she recounted pieces of her family's history. Her father had once been a maker of spirits like her, but had abandoned that path to turn to trade in hopes of improving their lives. Instead, the weight of debt had crushed him, and her mother, unable to endure the strain, had walked away. Though her father never spoke ill of her mother, Lin Ning had always known the truth. She admitted that she had chosen her own line of work because it carried echoes of her father's passion. Zhou, listening, felt a quiet gratitude for the path that had brought her to his company, believing that without it he might have remained forever alone. At the company, Ice continued to pursue Guyu, trying to persuade her to give him a chance, even going so far as to reveal his admiration for her. She resisted, well aware that he might only be seeking a bridge to move on from his past. The following day, Zhou and Lin Ning shared lunch together at her place. Each carried a small box, hiding it as if it were a gift. Inside Lin Ning's was a key to her home, a silent invitation for him to come and go freely. Zhou box contained the same, a key to his house, symbolizing the merging of their lives. He presented his gift first, confirming that his home was now open to her as if it were her own. As the sun set that evening, Lin Ning brought Guyu to the mountain trails, creating the opportunity for Ice to approach her alone once more. With determination, he confessed his feelings again, insisting that his emotions were genuine and not fleeting. In a bid to prove his sincerity, he whispered his real name, a revelation that made her laugh out loud. The tension broke, and in a moment of impulsive acceptance, she agreed to be with him. Ice, overwhelmed with joy, rushed forward and wrapped her in an embrace. At that moment, Lin Ning had been recording photos and videos of Guyu with Ice. Guyu, wanting the images to look sweet, suddenly leaned over and kissed him for the camera. Meanwhile, at Zhou house, his parents decided to play a foolish prank. When Zhou walked in, they pretended to forbid his relationship with Lin Ning, claiming she was like a sister to him. Zhou immediately assumed that their behavior was driven by the fact that they had learned about her father's alcoholism and treatment. The weight of that shame overwhelmed Lin Ning, and she rushed out of the house in distress. Everyone followed her outside, trying to stop her. Later, when Lin Ning and Zhou were spending time together, Ice appeared with unexpected news. A new production line for their beverage was being opened abroad, and he had been assigned to oversee it. The move would take him away for 2 years, and he expressed his wish for Lin Ning to accompany him. Lin Ning welcomed the idea, but at the same time she faced a conflict. She had been offered a position in a major alcohol manufacturing company, an opportunity far too valuable for her career to let slip away. Ice, however, had assumed she would be traveling with him. One evening, while she spoke on the phone in the bathroom about the job, he overheard her and realized that going abroad with him might truly interfere with her career. The next day, Lin Ning went to meet the company owner. Throughout the meeting, she was visibly nervous, torn between accepting the offer and sacrificing her chance to travel, or refusing it altogether. The owner, however, insisted that she should not decline, urging her to give him a swift response. Afterward, she went to the familiar restaurant owned by the older woman she often visited. Zhou was already waiting for her there. Her face betrayed her inner turmoil, and she admitted she had barely slept until dawn. Zhou understood that her restless state was caused by the job offer, and then he decided it was time to reveal something he had kept hidden. He told her that the woman who owned the restaurant was, in fact, his biological mother. She had given birth to him before marrying his father and had abandoned him at an orphanage, where he remained until the parents Lin Ning had already met adopted him. What struck Lin Ning even more was that the woman still had no idea he was her son. Overcome with emotion, Lin Ning reached for his hand in an attempt to comfort him. Just as Lin Ning was about to turn her face toward the restaurant owner, who was busy cooking a little distance away, Zhou continued speaking. He explained that he did not hate his mother, yet he was determined never to repeat the same mistake she had made. He shared that his adoptive parents had loved him deeply and taught him how to love others without holding them down, and for that reason, he urged Lin Ning to accept the offer before her without worrying about him. He promised that, for his part, he would always wait for her. 2 years later, Zhou returned by plane and rushed to Lin Ning's house, eager to see her again. Instead, he found the door wide open and the house shrouded in darkness. Suddenly, his phone rang. On the other end, a thug's voice told him that Lin Ning had been taken, and if he wanted her alive, he had to come to the address provided. Zhou ran straight there, only to discover 3 masked men waiting. 2 of them held Lin Ning at gunpoint, her head covered with a black sack and her hands tightly bound. The third pressed a weapon against Zhou's back, demanding that he surrender everything they asked for. Desperate and on the verge of tears, Zhou agreed, begging only that they spare Lin Ning's life. But in truth, Lin Ning had never been kidnapped at all. She freed herself, revealing that she was wearing a wedding gown beneath the restraints. The ones who had been holding her captive turned out to be Zhou's parents, while the man restraining Zhou was none other than Lin Ning's father. Suddenly, friends and colleagues appeared from every direction, carrying a cake and all the decorations for the celebration. It had all been a surprise wedding, arranged to catch them off guard in the most unexpected way. And so, Zhou and Lin Ning were married and began their life together in happiness.